Learning long division changed my life. I know it sounds a bit crazy, but please, let me cook. And no, I am not here to give you the argument you hear from all your maths teachers when you ask them, "Oh, mister, why do we have to learn math?" Where they talk about how maths is the building block for all society, and how without it, the sky would burn up and raccoons would rule the world. No, I'm here to talk about something much, much more important than math. Sorry, math teachers. The year is 2018. France had just won the World Cup. Avengers Infinity War has just come out, but more importantly, I was in 5th grade. We were just starting to learn about long division at the time, and our teacher had introduced us to the method. It was a pretty standard method, one I'm sure most people here have seen before. You write the divisor on the left, draw a staircase-like shape, then write the dividend, and you work downward from there. Anyways, later that day, we had some math homework to do, which I did, as the name suggests, at home. So, as I was slaving away working on some math questions, suddenly, one of my parents walked in. Naturally, as any kid would, I handed my sheet over and asked for help. She took it, looked it from top to bottom, then back to the top again, handed it back to me, then uttered 3 words that made my heart skip a beat. "This is wrong." Naturally, I was quite confused. According to my knowledge, I had done everything perfectly well, and thus there should be no errors. However, she later explained that it was not me who made a mistake, but instead that the method in it of itself was wrong. Apparently, where my parents learned division, they did stuff a little differently. Here, you write the dividend on the left side, and then the divisor, separating the two with a cross-like shape. Anyways, I simply learned the second method, because it was an easy way to get out of doing homework. Thus, with the exercises done, I went to sleep. Then, the next day came, and for now, we were vibing. But then, I got to school. I took the sheet out of my bag, handed it to my teacher. He took it, looked it from top to bottom, back to the top again, gave it back to me, and told me I had to redo it. Apparently, by not following his method, instead using my own, I had quote-unquote defeated the purpose of their exercise. Oh well, I guess I'll do it again. Thus, I waited for the school day to end, went back home, and worked on it again. As yesterday, one of my parents walked in, and once again, I asked for help. Handed my sheet over, she took it, looked it from top to bottom, then back to the top again, gave it back to me, and I heard one word that children rarely ever hear. No. Really? No? No? Who tells their child no? Anyways, I was kind of scared. However, then she explained that she didn't like how the teacher was forcing me to use his method, instead of giving me the freedom to use whatever method I wanted to. Kind of makes sense, I guess. So, by myself this time, I worked on all the questions, put the stuff away, went back to sleep, and waited the next day. Then, I returned to school, handed my sheet over to the teacher. He took it, once again looked it from top to bottom, then back to the top again. And this time, and like all the other times someone took a sheet of paper from me and looked it from top to bottom and back to the top, I finally got a positive response. He congratulated me on finally being able to do one math worksheet. Later, he elaborated. He said, in essence, there was nothing wrong with me using my own method. It's just that he wanted me to use his for the purpose of the exercise, so that I could prove that I had learned something from the lessons. Makes sense. Looking past the slightly convoluted series of events, we can look at what's really important here. I believe this incident is a perfect example of how two truths can both be correct and coexist. When I first learned division, I was handed a truth. That quickly became my truth, till the very same day I heard of another one. Faced with two truths, I simply adopted the second, because it was an easy way to get off doing homework. Now I know that the real truth is the one that speaks to me the loudest. Look, why is it that as we get older, we slowly start to separate reality and fiction, to create a sort of wall between what's concrete and what's abstract, to turn away from fantasy, to become skeptics? I believe that it's due to distance and detachment. When I was young, I would spend hours upon hours just reading, because apparently making friends was too hard for Brian back then. I can vividly remember starting in the morning and reading all the way until nighttime. If you were to talk to my past self, I would casually bring up those characters and those events as if they were part of the real life. However, if you were to talk to me about something like currency depreciation, I'd be completely and utterly lost. I believe this is because even though, in essence, the characters and the stories were not real, they did, however, have a very real and concrete effect on me, on how I live my life and how I continue to live it. The stories and those characters had a much greater impact on me than, for example, the election in Nicaragua. So, truth is not one concrete thing. However, it is something that can change and mold based on its believers. Think about it. If you take 20, 15, even 10 people, put them all in a room, and ask all of them what their favorite breakfast is, you most likely will get many different answers. However, does that mean some of those answers are wrong or even lies? No, it doesn't. It simply means that those people have many different truths. For example, my favorite breakfast is a bowl of ramen. Many people would disagree, but for me, it's the perfect breakfast. People who prefer sweeter breakfasts might complain that it's too salty, and people who are on a diet might complain that it's too many carbs. However, none of that matters to me. When someone comes up to me and asks for my favorite breakfast, I will simply give them my answer. If they disagree, so be it. We can both have different opinions. I would not get offended if someone were to come up to me and go, "Oh, Brian, my favorite breakfast is a ribeye and some chocolate cake." No. I will simply disagree and argue back on why, for me, that's kind of stupid. However, I would never resort to any personal attacks on that person, because even though I don't disagree on their truth, it doesn't mean that their truth is inherently wrong or even a lie. I believe that people should be able to discuss and talk about their truths in order to both improve their own as well as other people's. However, no one should be able to imprint their truths onto one another, to force someone to take their truths. But the other side is also true. No one should cage their truths up to quarantine them, because we all know how much quarantine sucked. No. If there's one thing everyone here takes away from my talk, is that this world needs more open-minded and respectful discussion. Thank you.